The Gemini Movie Podcast may deal with sensitive subject matters. A list of content warnings is included in the episode description. Enjoy the show.
Hello everyone to everyone's favorite podcast about Gemini movies. We talk about the Gemini movies. And I'm your host, Alice Sulavato, and my co-host...
The quiller memorandum, funeral in Berlin. This is a story without Merlin.
Well,
you like my rap?
We have Milka Wapalemon here.
Yeah, I'm the rap god.
Big...
Something Obama Trump.
Well, coffee pot.
Yeah, I got political. Sorry.
Well,
yeah, I'm Ludo. I'm here to talk about our two movies today, which are spy fiction from the 60s.
Yeah.
So before do you want to go right to our what we did this month, or do we want to say how we like the movies? I think we should talk.
Yeah, let's do a show and tell first, like always.
Okay, you want to start?
Start you, Ludo.
Okay, I've been massively playing that new Street Fighter. Which has taken the world by storm, I think. Everybody's playing that Streets, and I'm one of those people. I'm very pleased with the end result. Like, I wasn't really sure if I would like this one until I played the last beta, the open one. And since I got my hands on my main, Marissa, I'm basically all in. Like, I haven't booted up KOF once since Street Fighter came out. Yeah, I've been really grinding that. It's very good. I recommend it to almost anybody, even people who don't really play fighting games, because it's like it has like very good onboarding design to like get people into fighting games, or like to let non-fighting game players have fun with the game. So yeah,
it seems good. Who's your favorite character?
Of course, it's the muscle lady from Italy with a Roman fetish.
Who's your least favorite?
Design-wise or to play against?
Design-wise.
They're all pretty cool. Is the problem?
Yeah.
Everybody looks pretty cool.
How do you rank Melissa's accent?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, they hired a Italo-American woman.
Yeah, it's at least better than DJ's accent.
Yeah.
That's how to DJ. But yeah. Okay, I was thinking of doing the third season we were there, but I don't remember. I've been watching actually a show I've been very much enjoying. So I've watched, this was currently airing in the now ended anime season. The previous anime season, Dead Mount Dead Play. This is by, I think you know the shows. This is by the same person. This is based on a light novel by the same person who wrote Baccano and Durarara. You know those little writer.
Can you give me like a hint what it's about?
Baccano and Durarara. Baccano is like set in like old timey British stuff. Has like immortals wearing a train. Okay. Anyway, Dead Mount that play is, I guess you would call it Reverse Isekai. So like this evil, basically this evil limbs guy gets murdered in a fantasy land, but he gets sent into modern day Tokyo. And the show is like, so the authors things are much more like, they're very much focused on based like on cast and like different perspectives. 90% of the show is about this guy, this immortal limbs guy who has been revived as a Japanese team, just hanging around in an office room and he's there with his supporting casters like a god girl who really likes to be killed and loves skeletons, and a technological ball that always is wearing a VR headset.
So I'm smelling a bit of a genre subversion here.
I don't know if I could also subverse, but it's very much like playing around the. It's very much playing around like dark fantasy and even like urban warfare, like Tokyo Stories, because because it's like it has like a main story of like this little guy needing to check out what's happening like in fantasy world. There's after we buy the characters from that fantasy world. There's like rivalries happening with like gangs in Tokyo, etc., etc. But a lot of it is just him basically just doing odd jobs for weird characters, and it plays around with that a lot. Like one of the main characters in this season is a musician guy whose thing is like he's not actually a musician or magic. He's just a guy who likes saying he's magical.
Nice.
And I think he's voiced by Dio's voice actor.
Oh, that's like the best argument for this show you made so far.
Yeah, but
for me.
But very much is like a show that's just like it very much plays around like those ideas and just goes into there's serious stuff happening, but also these people just chilling and doing goofy odd jobs. It's a very weirdly comfortable show. There's like a character who's like goes undercover in like the main character group and goes and to investigate what's happening, and the main characters is talking about being the fantasy world, and like the spy characters holding this is like, wait, what is happening? Is this people like cosplayers, like weird otaku?
Yeah. I see how that could be funny. Yeah.
It's a surprisingly weird so that like very much to the person put by being a generic isekai to being like a generic like urban fantasy warfare thing to just like being like a surprisingly funny like dark comedy thing. Like
that sounds nice.
This last thing, like I mentioned, like there's a character who's like is like a tech boy that just wears a VR headset. There's a running joke where like the guy every episode just orders a different VR headset from legally distinct Amazon. It's a very fun show. Anyway, okay, let's go to the main thing. Spy fiction.
Just to say the names, we got Funeral in Berlin and The Quiller Memorandum, 2 spy fiction movies set in Berlin during the Cold War.
Yeah.
So, how did you like these movies?
I was really surprised how much I liked both. Funeral in Berlin is probably my favorite of these movies, but Quiller Memorandum was also really good. I've seen Funeral in Berlin. We're gonna talk about this later. It's a sequel to a movie called The Apricot Fight that I really enjoy, and it's as good as the original one. It's very much just a show from Michael Caine, who's a kind of very bad human being in real life, but as an actor, it's just really good, and it's a fantastic little spy thriller. I like it a lot. Quiller Memorandum is also way decent. I like spy fiction of that era. I think both are very enjoyable.
I would agree to most of this. I also liked Funeral a bit better. But Quiller Memorandum does a lot of interesting, cool things on different ends. Yeah, I would say they're both pretty alright. Yeah. Pretty enjoyable.
So do you want to do the backstory?
So there once was a post-World War II Germany.
Yeah.
And it was split in 2 parts.
So there was a man called Ian Fleming who was an MI6 agent, but so this is a fun fact.
Let's do this. Like, let's do them parallelly. Like, you talk about spy fiction, and I just talk about East Germany.
So this is a very fun fact. So Ian Fleming was like an actual MI6 because I think there's MI5 and 6. I think 6 is like the biggest one. I always get them confused. But in a way, he was like an actual spy. But according to people I know from like the Balkans, it's basically a confirmed secret that he stole most of James Bond, not from his life. There was some life stuff, but he stole it from like there was like a Soviet like Yugoslav like spy guy in World War Two, and like
Who did really wild shit, right?
a lot of like James Bond is basically just whipping from that guy.
Okay.
Which is very funny, but yeah. Ian Family wrote those novels. They were popular, but it was still until the 60s, where they basically, until the 60s, they basically become like, because there was like a big wave of like, like the so-called like cool British wave, the 50s and 60s. And James Bond arrived in the right time of like, being like the cool, suave British spy man, who's doing Imperial war crimes for the most part. But yeah, the movies became very popular, and so we had a lot of spy fiction. There was the Yellow Spy wave, which was like a lot of mostly time that's European like spy movies, capitalizing in James Bond's popularity. You had stuff that was very much just rip-offs, and then stuff that was just like spy stuff that just was mostly its own thing, but capitalizing a bit on James Bond's popularity. So because of that, there was also kind of like not the pushback, but there was also people writing because there has been like since the 50s, of course, because of the Cold War, there's been like spy fiction about the Cold War that was a bit more serious. So there was also like ex spy agents and stuff, people interested in like Cold War geopolitics that were written, writing stuff like the Epicos files and the Criminal, also both book adaptations by at least one person of the authors for both of these books. At least one of them was spy, and there was a bit more like lay down pushback, like actually talking about what spy stuff is actually are. Even if
they're a bit more down to earth, right?
Yeah, in the 50s
Than James Bond.
In the 50s you also had like the Zos Smiley books, that got that movie, I think it's So the Spy. Spy. So by Le Carre, was another famous like spy fiction author. So like this was just like the perfect way for both very much just pulp spy fiction stuff and like more relaxed stuff. Like Deepika's Files was like the movie that Vulnerable was a sequel to, was produced by Guy Hamilton, which is like the James Bond guy, directed a lot of James Bond, who also directed Vulnerable. So it was just like there was like generally like big spy fiction craze because of James Bond, specifically like European spy theater.
Yeah.
Do you want to say more about these so many, Ludo?
So they split Berlin in two halves.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
And I guess I mostly say this for like younger listeners or something, because it might be that you come from a country where you just don't know about this stuff. So there was a wall in the middle, and you couldn't pass it unless you had like the correct papers.
Yeah.
And they let you over once you're old, I guess.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of espionage and shady doings going on around that wall on like both ends.
Yeah.
So this is like the border in Korea. Basically, this was like one of the most surveilled places in the world.
Yeah, it also comes to like when Germany was defeated, when Nazi Germany was defeated, it was occupied into two parts: the Soviet part and the American part.
Yes.
And then it was split into the East German Democratic Republic, right? Not Democratic.
Yeah, I think that's the name.
Yeah, and then the West, and then the West German was like, wasn't that so like German
Republic, I think.
Yeah, Deutsche Republic, something like that. But yeah, it was split into both parts. This also ties into stuff like a lot of what happened like World War Two, like American occupation of Italy, Japan, etc., etc.
Yeah, so this is basically the perfect place to set your Cold War spy movie in.
Yeah, this was like one of like the most iconic, like just by an imagery and aestheticness of like Western.
The Cold War.
Yeah.
The Cold War stuff.
Yeah, Cold War stuff.
I think we established where this takes place geographically and temporal.
Yeah.
So let's go into our main segment, I would say. Or do you have something to add?
Nothing.
Okay.
I just recently, I guess, found out that America, there was plans because the Soviet Union was like imposing. It was the Soviet Union was getting when they were fighting Japan in World War II. They were getting very much to controlling some parts of it, and so there was some American and Soviet officers apparently planned. This was like a French state. They were planning doing the same thing with Japan. To what happened in
Just
Germany,
have two halves.
which would be very wild.
Yeah, it would be wild if there was a part of Japan that was just like a part of the Soviet Union for like 40 years.
Yeah, that's just a fun historical fact. Good one history. It's a lot. It's really a lot. But anyway, let's go to the movies.
Okay, let's roll. Keep on rolling.
Rolling. Anyway, we are rolling. We are rolling to East and West Germany. Yep. What's our
Cast and acting is our first segment.
Wait up the names.
Funeral for Berlin is the movie we're starting with, and our main cast here is Michael Caine as Harry Palmer, Oscar Homolka as Colonel Stock. I always have problems pronouncing that because it's written weirdly. Now comes the highlight for me. Paul Hubschmid as Johnny Vulcan.
Good night.
That's the most porn actor name of a character I ever heard outside of a porn movie.
Yeah.
Eva Renzi as Samantha Steele, Gail Dolman as Ross, and Hugh Burden as Halan. So right off the bat, I just want to mention Paul Hubschmid is actually a Swiss actor.
Yeah.
And he's one of those few Swiss actors that actually made a career outside of Switzerland. He's like in at least five different countries he made movies. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a Swiss rep for this movie, very rare. Yeah. How did you like the acting?
Yeah.
The cat. No. Yeah.
The funny thing, this is mostly, like I mentioned before, Michael Caine sucks as a human being because he's like a Tolly Baxter guy, but like as an actor, he's like probably one of my favorite old school like British actor guys. He had like a very interesting backstory for like he lived like a very rough part in Britain and got into fights a lot, and then just got into theater one time because somebody was like, "Hey, you look shady enough. Do you want to be a shady cat in my theater play?" And he was like, "Okay." And very much during the 60s, he became like the very much like playing like a lot of crime vigilante stars, like the cool like British mother guy, and like he's just good at playing like suave losers. And
yeah,
like and he's perfect for like a character like Harry Palmer, who's like a character with like an emotionally stunted loser spy guy who fundamentally can only communicate like not crepes but like dry British humor basically, because he's
he's a proper weirdo in this movie.
Yeah, he's very good at playing characters who are like that, and I feel like he plays that very well. It's just hard to describe like a lot how he's dressed for the movie. He's like dressed as like a perfect weirdo. It's like really just like solid acting, just very much like solid at like performing like this weird guy and just like saying things in like a barely weird intonation. In part because of his accent.
He has really good delivery.
Like there's that line that the James Bond site we liked. He says like, I don't remember specific something, but like something about putting like a guy in like a freezer.
Yeah, he knows the cubic quantity of his mistress.
Yeah. It's just he's very good at communicating like to this. A lot of this part is like the writing the script, but also he's very good at communicating like this lines that are very like for like the wily humor, but also just kind of saw him as like just a kind of a loser. it's
Yeah, like the way the plot progresses, he has to like eat a lot of shit.
yeah,
And the way he just looks like this sad little broken man, it's just very good.
it's good. It's good. Like not that say, just I love Michael Caine as an actor. Like he just really knows like how to perform a loser guy, and I love a loser guy. So like, yeah, the other acting is all very solid. Like I know you mentioned this, but the other some actors were like, well, some speaking actors were very good. If I understand, like spoke acts was some and well.
Yeah, they cast like German speaking people.
They are.
They did a good job.
Yeah, the I don't remember the character's name, but like the Palmer's like weird friend is also very good.
Yeah, I like the Russian guy they tried to like smuggle
Yeah.
smuggle out. He's pretty good. He like really has that like East European or Russian bureaucrat style down.
Yeah. He plays very much like a stereotype of that type, but in a way that works for the story what it's doing.
Yeah.
Like very much, ha, my friend. I need to do a thing. I'm not doing a Russian accent. I have actual Russian friends. I'm not gonna. Shout out to you if you're listening, my Russian friends. Anyway.
Shout out to Alice's Russian friends.
Yeah, shout out to all my Eastern European homies. I love you all. Anyway, but anyway, I feel like everyone's like playing very much because a lot of the writing in this is very much wanting you to go into certain stereotypes of like the Storen Eastern German bureaucrats, like the Storen officials, etc., etc. But in a way that's all like sort of the actor, like the lady that Pam was like in a romance with is very solid. It's like playing like a Bond girls type thing, but in a way that's much more.
It's like a subversion of the Bond girl because he never like kisses her or like gets to like be with her.
Yeah, like it's important.
She's basically just using him so she could kill a Nazi.
Yeah, it's like the actors behind that will work because it's like very much like in this type of movies. In James Bond, the Bond girl is just mostly just an opposite, for Bond. But in this, Harry Palmer is just like an opposite to use, and Michael Caine is very good at playing like this loser who wants to get into a girl, and I forgot the actor's name, and like the actress is very good at playing somebody that's just using him very much for an opposite to get her girl.
Yeah, it's very much in like the subversion of James Bond tropes that like the novel was doing.
Like I'm saying, there's not a lot to say. I think all the acting is very solid, and I think every actor is good at playing basically a subversion of like the James Bond spy trope, the pop spy tropes, in a way that's both doing that and also doing more in a ways I find just very enjoyable. Like
very solid.
Yeah. Let's go. Quiller memorandum, acting.
Quiller memorandum. We got George Segal as Quiller, Alec Guinness, aka Obi-Wan, as Paul, Max von Sydow as October, Senta Berger as Inge Lindt, George Sanders as Gibbs, and Robert Helpman as Wang.
Just to recollect, Alec Guinness is in this, right?
Yeah. I mentioned that's Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, who apparently really hated the role of Obi-Wan, which is very funny to me. But anyway, yeah, based on the acting, the main guy is not doing as much. The main guy is he's not Michael Caine. I think he's playing like a NATO subversion of like the swap spy decently well as well. Because Quiller just gets into like...
He's like an American playing a British spy, right?
I think, yeah. Yeah, I think he's American.
Yeah, that's it's very odd because a lot of people in this movie are not cast as the nationality they play.
It's also just a British production directed by a British director, so I don't get why they not just get the British guy for the main guy.
Yeah, it's weird. The casting is weird, but it works.
Yeah,
it's not that it's badly cast. It's just kind of odd.
Yeah, shouts out to Alec Guinness, so not to add that it's just an asshole in real life, not to understand, but like very solid acting. He plays like Quiller's like basically command guy, and he's pretty decent in that. But yeah,
I want to shout out Max von Sydow because he's Swedish
yeah,
and he plays like the Nazi villain in this.
yeah.
And like he's really creepy and really good at like being this like aristocrat Nazi.
He's the guy from Seventh Seal, right? Dad from Seventh Seal, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah, he's very good. He's like very much one of those classical looking actors that like just very much got typecast in a role, but like he very much good at playing like evil guy that looks scary. He's very good at playing.
Yeah. I actually bought that he was German. Like until I looked it up, I totally thought he was German. So he sold me on it. So
Yeah,
very
yeah.
good.
But like I said, I really like Quayle's acting, even if it's not as good as Michael Caine as Palmo, because he's also decent here playing like a loser guy that wants to do something and just gets halfway to the movie kidnapped by Nazis and put into Tooth Salem. Which is very funny thing.
Yeah, it's very funny. They like just pump him full of drugs so many times.
Yeah, he's
It's like also a very subversive part because like usually that's one scene in a James Bond movie and then he frees himself, and here it just happens twice and it's very long.
yeah, it's like I said, the acting is very nice. Like both of these movies are very much just playing with like stereotypes of like Cold War fiction and just doing much more. So you have like the evil Nazi guy, the handler, second first in command, that store, and the swap spies, but fundamentally play along with that in a way that's like the acting's just solid. Like I think it's for the movies of this era is like just solid acting. There's not a
Yeah.
lot. There's not a lot to say. Do you want to set out anything else, though?
No.
Okay. What's next?
Funeral in Berlin plot. So this is interesting because I couldn't recap you the plot if I had to.
Yeah.
Because there is so much going on. There is like 5 side plots in this movie.
This, like I mentioned, both of these movies are based on novels, but like Funeral in Berlin very much feels like a novel movie, you know? Like there's so much happening, so many intricacies.
Yeah. I think it's actually good because I can imagine that if I rewatch this in the future, I will like pick up on more details.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's one of these movies that really rewards you to rewatch them if you aren't familiar with the full plot.
Hmm.
I actually read a critique that you sent me from I think New York Times,
Yeah.
and they like criticized the movie for like being too complex. And I think that's fascinating because you don't get that nowadays. This kind of criticism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people want their puzzle box. People want to like have reasons to rewatch a movie and put it all together.
Yeah.
Like in a post Lost world, people always want to like figure shit out.
Yeah.
So this kind of criticism just wouldn't exist nowadays, I think. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting to me that like at the time this was like, oh, this is too dense.
It's interesting. It reminds me a lot of like it feels very much like the movie version of like an Axel. Like it's very much putting like into a movie like a feeling. Not it's literally a spy movie, but that's putting the feeling of like spy like cat and mouse tactics.
Yeah, there's like a fog of war effect where you're never quite sure what really is going on, like what everybody's motivations are.
Yeah, so it's all plays as like it's interesting because a lot of it is kind of also like a kind of spy thing, not spy, but like a thief movie, you know. Like you have to execute perfectly. Need to get certain people and certain things to get the perfect execution of a thing. But
Yeah.
but it's supposed to also the thing of like there's various agendas, there's various things, and you can never find out really. And then it does a very clever thing where like the plan fails, and then Palmer has like to just like
Pick up the pieces, yeah.
it's like that one Scar pick up the pieces. That's Scar song. I think that's not the song anyway. Anyway, but yeah, it's very much a clever thing because it's very much always planning things, always planning ahead, always making you think of like, always making you think what's gonna happen next because it starts very much like the traditional spy movie of like you need to do a thing to do it next to get certain characters. So you get the Bond guy, the handlers. You need to get the people. You need to meet Palmer meets the Soviet general that wants to escape to the West.
Yeah, then he meets the frigging Israeli spies that want to kill Nazis.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing because there's so much happening. There's so many conflicting agendas.
Yeah.
Like I've said, it feels very novel-like. Like it feels very much something you would read in a novel because in a novel it's like you can just write this very like internal conflict
Yeah.
things.
Also, it's very like dialogue focused. We get a lot of we don't get a lot of visual storytelling. We mostly get like plots through dialogue.
Yeah, even like a lot like Palmer, the main guy, Michael Caine guy, just says like a lot of why with us humans. A lot of it is just like kind of like we both like supposed like same spawn quipping. But that's some of those lines, like some of the cat lines and some of the quips, do actually impact the story in interesting ways, which is fine.
Yeah.
Which I think is very interesting. It very much wants you to focus on the writing, which I think it's very interesting for like a movie like this.
Yeah.
It like I've said, I think this very much I had to describe it as what it does with the plot is very interesting, and I really like it. I really like the end of it. The way it ends, we talk about this in teams, but the way it ends is fantastic. Just the perfect thing of, oh yeah, you fucked up, but the way you saved everything kind of saved our ass anyway, so do you want a promotion? Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is just a kind of fantastic dilation of what actually spy work is actually like.
Yeah. You stumble into something good at the end per chance, and then you get promoted.
Yeah, we talk about that later in teams, but yeah, quite a memorandum plot.
It starts kind of slow, but then it becomes like a nice cat and mouse game.
Yeah, this
Like where they explain it very literally, so it's really easy to follow that he has to find their base without them finding out where their base is. So it's really like a very simple cat and mouse game.
yeah, it's much more simple, but I think it just works. Half 20 minutes into the movie, I was not feeling it as much, but like, like after 20 minutes, the movie really goes into setting up just being the cat and mouse thing.
Yeah, once he gets abducted by the Nazis, it basically becomes good.
Yeah, and I feel there's not a lot to say about the plot. I think it's just a very good execution of like spy theater, and it mostly goes into a good direction.
Yeah, it's not as subversive, I would say, as Funeral, because it still has the trope of the girl who needs to be saved and all, but
Yeah.
it kind of subverts that at the end too, because she turns out to be like a Nazi collaborator at the end.
Yeah, it's not as. I guess we're gonna talk about the Nazi stuff in the teams, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but it does play around. It's not a suppose, but I feel like it's playing around the cat and mouse tactics. It's like just our protag James Bond guy getting kidnapped and put to jail 20 minutes into the movie is like already something that's playing around.
I think it plays also a bit more into action, like with the chase scenes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like elaborate chases and like escape scenes where like the main character is trying to get away from the people who are observing him for the Nazis.
Yeah, because technically, so Killam is Memorandum is like it's an spy movie. So like I said, it's like very much more directly, kinda sometimes not just running the calculation. Very much like it's European movies trying to kind of slightly whip up James Bond in some way, and like very much in some way, even when they're good, much more sticking to the formula. So you can see very much the thing of like, okay, it needs a bit more action, a bit more traditional quips, etc, etc, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it. It's pretty alright. In terms of plot. Do we want to go to teams for Funeral in Berlin?
Yeah, let's go.
So I had a bit of trouble with like finding the teams in these two movies, but I think the one for Funeral in Berlin is spies are real weirdos.
Yeah, I feel like that. There's also some, I guess, commentary can say on like the West and is West Germans just allowing Nazis to be there still.
Yeah. There's definitely like something in both of these about the the recesses of like Nazi Germany still like being in Berlin and like hiding.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about the first part. Yeah, I think very much. I think in general, I've seen all three of these movies, and with the exception of the third one, that's also very good. But like doing a different thing. In general, the Crossfire's movies are very much about just how spies are not the James Bond super spies. They're in general just weirdos. Because to be to travel to another country, to pretend to be another person, to do a bunch of state sanctioned crimes, it's like there's like
Yeah, you have to be some weird adrenaline junkie or like a sociopathic.
like there's a reason why like a lot of CIA people like some a lot also weird like fitness balls and stuff like that. It's like it. You're always gonna be a type of weirdo when your job is that. When so, but Ipcos Pfizer was going with like the British spy, the very little man metaphorically, and also Michael Caine is kind of a short king. Very much the little man that's like very reserved, has glasses, wears clothes, even if very British fashion, and just uses like sarcasm, like irony, and like very British dry humor as like a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Like beneath, like the movie is about how Palmer loses. He has to do a thing. He gets defeated various times in tactics games and everything, and he technically wins, but just because
he gets lucky once at the end.
he gets lucky, and other people like fail by accident. Basically, he gets win by just anzi. Basically,
Yeah.
it's very much about this guy loses. Is just a fucking weirdo. But he technically gets a promotion and said, "Oh, you can be a great spy," by his chief, because fundamentally he just fulfills. Because fundamentally the institutions just need somebody to fulfill the task, even if it's not perfectly well handled.
Yeah, it's kind of a like anti-power fantasy because you
Yeah,
just repeatedly see him disempowered.
I've said before, I really just like everything around Palmer, like the character, like just it works very much as like a subversion of like James Bond era, like power fantasy.
Yeah.
He's just a loser, and I feel like that's part because everyone else basically just treats him as a loser, even like other spies and like his handler.
Mm-hmm.
I think that part is very good. The spy stuff, the Nazi shit is also interesting because it's very much talking about like actual stuff with people who don't know the history. Look up West German politicians and Nazis. They were like
Yeah, they get really real because the thing with like the Israeli organizations like hunting Nazis in Berlin is also true.
yeah, it's
Like they went there to kill a bunch of Nazis after the war.
yeah, the East German government they allowed a lot of Nazis. Some of them were high-ranking politicians. It's a lot.
Yeah, I think both East and West Germany just had a bunch of Nazi politicians.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like there was like a lot of them. So like at one point, like you couldn't kill them all, but like so should have done more. You know?
Yeah, maybe don't let them back into politics, you know.
Like that in general, like there was like an idea of like we normalizing, you know, like maybe after the war, like maybe after the war they could change, but that's not how people work. That's not how people work. That's not how these things work, you know.
They just got really tired because they had like to do hundreds of thousands of people like were accused of like being with the Nazi party and all, you know.
Yeah.
So I think at some point England and America and like just the Axis was just like, nah, I think we're just gonna let them go.
It resulted badly. There's like a thing.
Yeah, it's not like look how the AfD is doing in Germany. Those problems are all coming back. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Anyway, But anyway, I feel like this movie is very much interesting in that it's not. It's kind of like a side theme. But I think it's very much interesting examining just like it's not it's not like a communist like movie, but like it's not also not it's also not interesting just examining this stuff and talking about
Yeah,
hey.
it's not like being all Red Scare anti-communist 24/7.
It doesn't understand that the Western powers did bad shit.
Yeah, yeah. It basically shows that there's like this gray zone where both sides just do shady shit nonstop,
Yeah, but that's
and
what.
like third parties get in on it too. Like I said, like the Israeli people there.
Yeah, I think it's very much interesting that. I think it's very much interesting just the power plays between like Western states and of course like the Soviet Union, but that's so specific as the because Harry Palm was like a British spy. Very much interesting, like like the Allies, just the junk they did, a bunch of shit. Yeah, Quiller Memorandum teams. Do you have anything?
Uh, I had even more problems here, so I just wrote Nazi women are real nifty.
Yeah, like this movie's like it's a sad movie, but it's not as thematic. Like it's just very much going. It is going for it kind of like, well, just understands. Hey, there were a lot of Nazis. Where still there?
Yeah, and you might fall in love with one of them. Because like the woman he falls in love with and that he tries to save from the Nazis turns out to be a Nazi collaborator in the end, and she just gets away.
Yeah,
Like she's a teacher and he just can't find anything to like pin her down, or he just lets her go because he's like in love.
yeah. I feel like the rest. I feel like the ending really is. I feel like the ending is the movie going. Yeah, like there was like a lot of Nazis, even not just in political offices, like just even like in the TSL office, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's more focused on the Nazi thing, I feel, than the other movie.
Yeah, that the movie's more interesting, just like general, like deconstructing what the spy actually does.
Yeah, and having all these parties interact with each other, and here it's more like Quiller versus the evil Nazis that like plan to rise up again. Like they have their base and everything. They're like planning, and they have like infrastructure and all. It's like this shadow state of Nazis below West Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes more into like them as like a almost like terrorist threat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting in that, but like thematically, it's not like it's doing too much with it. Also, because like both of these movies are just like based on fiction written up from an outside perspective, so you can't like expect them to like do the finer points of like German politics around the time.
Yeah, they would still very much like British spy fiction novels.
Yeah.
I feel like they do both. I think like thematically the stuff you can get from both.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a totally shallow movie. It still has
Well,
some ideas.
it's surprisingly goes for it because a lot of your spy stuff doesn't really go for it because a lot of your spy stuff is like I don't know, like Super Spy 4, Super Spy versus I don't know.
Yeah, it's very grounded compared to a lot of like Italian stuff, for example.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, but yeah, I think what's the next thing? Music?
Cultural relevance for Funeral in Berlin.
I feel
I
like,
I mean, Michael Caine is in there.
yeah, Michael Caine is a very where like the this movie is a very much where like the amongst like British cinema buffs. They'll after the James Bond had this is a classical cool robot thing. The James Bond heads love this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
They
They don't get that it's like riffing on certain tropes that James Bond has.
yeah, like it's not like this movie's like anti James Bond because it was this Funeral was elected by a James Bond elect. At the same time, it's like it's just still playing around with those things, like playing around subverting. But yeah, that's what it was well like. I feel like if you like spy fiction, if you like spy fiction, if you like movies with 60s movies with Michael Caine, if you like kind of gritty stuff like this, you will like them. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to take to them. They're very popular actor, popular spy fiction of the era. The books he must be very popular. Yeah, I think they're gonna be relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is gonna stay in the public consciousness culturally. But Quiller Memorandum probably less because it doesn't have as much well-known actors. It has Obi-Wan, but
Yeah.
it's not like with Michael Caine where people check out the other movies. They just want to watch Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think Quiller Memorandum is probably the more forgotten one of these two. You agree?
Yeah, I feel like if you have an interest in spy fiction of this area, you're probably gonna like it still. Have an interest.
Yeah, sure. Experts of the genre are probably gonna find this one.
Yeah, yeah. But in more mainstream, slightly mainstream, yeah, it's gonna be less talked about and not think about at all.
Yeah.
Still worth checking out, of course.
Yeah, totally. I recommend both of these movies.
Yeah.
Okay, cinematography, Funeral in Berlin. I'm just gonna tell you all real quick. This was the cinematography is by Otto Heller, which is I think a German cinematographer, and the editing is by John Bloom, which I think is a British guy.
Yeah.
So this one is real good looking.
Yeah, it feels very 60s movie, specifically with the 60s movie, but it's specifically they really used I don't think they saw. I think we talked about this. I don't think they saw it in West Germany, but they saw it a lot in not West East. They did not saw it at East Germany, but they saw it a lot in West Germany. Actually, and the opening scene is somebody escaped from the East to the West by a thing,
Hiding in a construction thing.
And that's beautifully shot, just how the camera looks to that and goes to the other part of West Germany and stuff. Is really fucking beautifully shot movie, specifically when there's a night scene. When there's a night scene, it's kind of goes into a noir look, a very gritty crime drama thing.
Yeah, they use Berlin of the time basically optimally because they use a lot of ruins of bombed out buildings and places near the wall, but also the Kreuzberg quarter, which is basically almost like a ghetto.
Yeah.
So it's very urban, dingy looking. At this time.
Yeah.
It's all very seedy and shady with nightclubs.
You can really feel the bling of that hell in the movie.
Yeah, it's a really grimy looking movie, but also very well how they portray it with the shadow and fog in the night. It's very good looking.
Yeah. Like I said, feels very much taken from a lot of noir movies or sort, which I really like. Yeah, but very much I thought. Quiller Memorandum.
Cinematography. What I really noticed with this movie is it doesn't do Berlin justice as much. Mm-hmm. Both of these were shot in West Germany, but there's some really cool long takes. There's the long take when he gets abducted that establishes the place. That's 30-40 seconds, and it just tilts around the entire room and shows us everything. It's really good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was my favorite part of the cinematography in this one. There was 2-3 long takes that are really good.
Yeah, the scene where they when he's going to the Nazi place is really fucking good. Really atmospheric. Really atmospheric. It's just West Side. I don't think I have a lot to say. It's a West Side movie. That's atmospheric, but where it has very less good shots, but when it's good when how it looks.
Yeah, the one of the scenes where he's being followed by the Nazi guys in the city is also really atmospheric, at night under a bridge. That shit just looks very good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good.
Last segment, soundtrack, Funeral in Berlin. I just have no notes for both of these for the soundtrack.
I don't remember a lot. I think Funeral in Berlin is a classical 60s thing.
I think both of them are very of their time cinema soundtracks for a thriller.
Yeah, specifically for like a British movie. Like a lot of British movies of the sale, specifically like this was like an ad of like in mentioned like a lot of crime thrillers and stuff. They have a lot of like kinda they have some classical compositions, but also they have some jazz. They have some like like some jazz, some classical stuff.
Yeah,
like just kind of
but
like
there's not really any really contemporary music playing.
yeah.
Like we're not getting like the 60s rock music or like some kind of like 60s pop.
Yeah,
we mostly just get like jazzy tunes and some orchestral pieces.
it's a much more like lay down version of those type of soundtracks. Like it's fine, but I don't have a lot to say also.
Yeah, same. I think we can like leave out most of the stuff here.
Yeah.
I guess I can mention who made the soundtracks. Funeral in Berlin is by Konrad Elfers, and Quiller Memorandum is John Barry. So yeah, I think that does it. Very very nice episode because we had two movies we actually both liked.
Yeah. Okay. So
Are we going to the vote?
yeah, we're going to the vote.
I mean the lottery.
Okay, 184.
That's
Please.
Crowhurst and the Mercy.
No, it's not. It's 1 July, 22 of July.
Didn't you say 184?
184. It's on the list.
When did you open the list? Because I edited it like in the last 10 minutes before recording.
Wait, this has 2004 movies. For me.
207 should be the number.
Oh, I'm using the old list. Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
Yeah.
Let me. Let's.
I mean,
like we do.
let's keep the number and just do it by the current state of the list. So Crowhurst and the Mercy.
What's those about?
I think something with a boat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're both about the true story of some sailor.
Yeah. Okay. We are going to sailing movies. See you next time. You can check me out as Soul of Water on Twitter, co-host, etc. Twitter. And you?
Don't forget to donate to our Patreon, to Alice's Patreon specifically, if you want to support the show.
Yeah.
You can find me Ludovico_limited on Twitter, co-host, and CFN if you want to play Street Fighter.
Okay. Bye.